disrupted.
America that I thought weird thing to happen. All right, folks. Hello, one and all. Welcome to this edition of Kitz Corner. It's been a fantastic day so far. And let's just jump into it because this is a big bombshell, ladies and gentlemen. James O'Keefe, the O'Keefe Media Group, exposed the CIA and their alleged plot against Donald Trump. Surprise, surprise, in 2024, an election cycle. No doubt that we have seen this constantly before, and they're continuing to do it again to silence out their political opponents, because Donald Trump, even though he's the sly underdog game show host, reality buffoon, real estate tycoon, even as much as people disagree with him, I'm no fan of him, he does reveal a lot of things. He is like the cold sore, if you will, on the grossness of the establishment. And what's more dangerous is not Donald Trump himself, but the people behind Donald Trump, the people behind the system that are constantly revealing their little tricks up their sleeves, if you will, to silence out political dissidents, to silence out opponents, and pretty much ruin democracy. We have seen this before so many times, and here it is once again. So there's this guy here whose name I can hardly pronounce, but it's Amjad Anton-Fesisi. Fesisi? Sure. We'll call him Amjad. Who's the project manager of cyber operations at the CIA. And just like James O'Keefe fashion, just like these great undercover videos, the reason why I like him so much is he does these little stunts where he's posing as either a date or a job interview or just a journalist undercover talking casually to someone the higher up, someone who's deep in the deep state, and it reveals a lot. And it is just absolutely wonderful to see finally exposed from the horse's mouth exactly the ploys that they're putting against us. We have seen this before with the FBI. We have seen this with Pfizer. We have seen this with other members of the intelligence community. And now we're seeing it once again, folks. So here we go.
I work at the CIA. I do cyber operations. I've been doing it for a long time.
So how long have you been working at the CIA?
Since 2008. I've also worked at NSA though. And then I have a TSSCI with a full scope polygraph. That means that I'm fully vetted.
Amjad Fasisi shows her his CIA identification badge.
No, where does it say?
Doesn't.
Right, that's the point.
That's the point.
What's CMC?
China Mission Center, darling. That's my mission center.
Gotcha.
Amjad talks about how the CIA kept information from Trump.
Like working?
We kept information from him.
Say one more time.
We kept information from him.
From Trump?
Yes. He's an idiot. There are certain people that would give him a high-level overview but never give it any details. You know why? His whole leak to his details.
Amjad Fasisi states the higher-ups.
So their whole purpose of this, and it just revealed right there. And one of the reasons that I give Trump a bit of credit is that because he's a two-faced character, because he's such a wild card, he's able to reveal things that no other presidency, no other administration, no one in the higher-ups ever actually did. He was the only person that I knew that told us why we were in Syria. It was for the oil. It has nothing to do with humanitarian causes or stopping the leader for gassing his own people. That was a false flag attack. That was all fabricated to get us into Syria. But the reason why we're in these countries is exactly what we've been saying throughout this whole entire time. It's for economic resources. It's to take away and extract from other countries, and we guard their oil to extract for our purposes. And we rain havoc on these nations and continue to devastate and destroy all around the world, to rain havoc and steal their goods for our own benefits, for our own riches. And Donald Trump was the only person I have seen so far to actually reveal that. That and maybe Tulsi Gabbard.
within the intel community, including CIA directors Mike Pompeo and Gina Haspel, and the upper levels of their staffs colluded to withhold information from sitting President Trump.
So the agencies kind of like all got together and said, we're not going to tell Trump.
The higher ups.
The higher ups.
We put it this way, the executive staff, we're talking about the director and his subordinates.
Like what titles are they? They're
Director of the CIA.
director of the CIA would keep.
Yes.
Are you guys still watching him?
I would say yes.
Like, it sounds like you guys are still watching him and his team.
Of course we are. Nothing goes by without somebody watching.
Amjad Fasisi also states as
And there's exactly the surveillance aspect. Nothing goes without us watching. We always monitor. And of course, because it's 2024 and election season, and they know that more than likely, 99% sure, that it's going to be Trump v. Biden once again. And considering the fact that Joe Biden is decimating against his own campaign, continuing to fall, continue to be the buffoon that he is, knowing that he's going to go against Trump, it's panic time for the deep state. It's panic time for the intelligence agencies. It's panic time for the establishment and their oppressive regime. It's panic time so much that they need to find another ploy to silence out their political opponents so that they can crush the democratic aspect of America and withhold themselves to the highest power, retain their power as much as possible. Because even though they consider Trump to be a buffoon, Trump is dangerous to them. Trump is dangerous to them because he's such a wild card, because he's uncontrollable.
fact that Trump is under constant surveillance and even claims they are spying on his ex-wife.
And we also have people that monitor his ex-wife.
So you guys had human sources,
How do you think we get information?
like wiretapping? Is that what?
Steal it.
How did you guys figure out that Trump was colluding with the Russians? Did you guys use...
It's just human intelligence.
So the intel community was able to use FISA to spy on Trump and his team. And that's how we found out that he was colluding with the Russians.
Correct.
Was it the CIA?
Which, by the way, he wasn't. By the way, that was all a fabricated hoax. The whole Russiagate scandal was fabricated from the Hillary Clinton campaign because they needed some excuse to wiretap Trump. They can't just immediately announce, hey, we're spying on our political adversary. We're spying on our opponents, which they've always done, but they can't just be open about it. They need some sort of excuse. So now they have to say, oh, we think that Russia is hacking into the election. We think that somehow Russia, Vladimir Putin, and their, Kremlin team is getting Donald Trump elected. And they fabricated from day one. And now we know that wasn't Russia hacking the election. In fact, the biggest perpetrators hacking into American democracy was Israel. This whole time, it was Israel. And now people have finally woken up to it after all these years, after all the lobbying campaign, after all the trillions of dollars financed into the American democratic process. It was Israel all along. Who would have thunk it?
Or the NSA that spied on Trump?
So it could be all of them.
So you're saying that your agency, CIA.
A lot of the agencies, he's not going to get re-elected again. I've done the math. It's impossible. We have a choice here. Do we want our democracy or do we want some fucking madman who wants to be a dictator?
Does it say the CIA on it?
What do you think we have now? What do you think we have now? We have Joe Biden being the authoritarian dictator at this point. He's banned TikTok. He's silencing free speech. He's causing havoc with 3 wars that he has no control over. He's banning his political opponents. Like, what else more? What else more can people... Does this administration have to do for people to wake up to realize you're living in an authoritarian state? You are in the dictatorship right now. You are in it right goddamn now. People are just so blinded by the fact of it because it's not out in the open. It's not the simple kind of Hitler kind of regime, it's more fabricated because they had the wokeism and all the distractions to keep you busy and occupied. You have to scream at college kids for the rest of your life, but you don't have to realize that the entire administration, the establishment, has diluted this to keep you distracted. They are keeping you at strangleholds on your friends and families and neighbors and not telling you this stuff. Not telling you that the agencies, the CIA, the NSA, the FBI, they're pilling against you. They're pillaging their ploys. They're getting the tricks off their sleeves to go against you. That's all. This has finally come to play.
LinkedIn.
Fuck no. We can't do that. And then I worked at NSA for a year.
Okay.
And I was doing some really cool cyber stuff, which I cannot tell you about, to the Office of Director of National Intelligence. So I helped them stand up inside our threat program. They trusted me to set that up.
Yeah.
Just don't tell anybody.
I don't have anyone to tell.
Yeah. This conversation didn't happen.
Of course.
I get strictly denied.
Yeah.
I love that he says, like, don't tell anybody. I just told you everything to this random lady that I think this is a date and I'm hopefully going to get laid from this. But don't like, spread it around, you know? Like, keep it to yourself. But I'm just going to reveal out in a public restaurant. Are you that? I don't know what this is. Like, a narcissistic disorder? Or if he's just that stupid or what this is. But if you're trying to keep something secret, you work in the upper ups of the establishment. Like, you basically dictate society as a whole. Like, you have such unbelievable power that you're dictate over the president. You had Chuck Schumer go on MSNBC and yell to the president that you have to watch yourself because they have 9 ways to Sunday to take the presidency down. If you have that much power and you're concerned about leaking out information, I don't think you should say it to a rando in a restaurant. That would just be my take of it.
I'm James O'Keefe, reporting on location outside the CIA headquarters in Langley, Virginia. Right behind me, the CIA, the police officers here.
We figured we'd come up and just say hello.
No problem. We're allowed to stand here?
100%.
Thank you.
Absolutely. Absolutely everything you guys are doing is
Yeah.
100% okay from where you're at right now.
Okay.
If we proceed forward of the crosswalk,
Yeah.
that's where we may have to come up and have another discussion.
Yeah, we're going to stand right on the sidewalk.
100%. Absolutely.
Okay. I appreciate it. All right.
All right.
Very good.
Thanks,
Thank
guys.
you. Just a moment ago, officers coming out from Langley, Virginia to warn me not to set foot across that line right there. It's obviously dangerous for us to be here. It's dangerous for us to do this reporting. But thanks to a brave OMG undercover swiper, we present to you the O'Keefe Media Group blockbuster investigation inside the CIA. A few months ago, journalists Matt Taibbi and Michael Schellenberger released a story making several claims, including the CIA illegally mobilizing foreign intelligence agencies to target Trump advisors before the 2016 election. Barack Obama's CIA director, John Brennan, identified 26 Trump associates for the intelligence community to target and bump, make contact with, or manipulate. And what bumping means is literally bumping into people, making contact with them, communicating with them, and spreading misinformation to divert their attention. The U.S. intelligence community also asked its foreign allies, United Kingdom, Australia, Italy, and the Israeli Mossad, to target these 26 members of Trump's team going all the way back to March of 2016, well before the 2016 presidential election. Multiple instances that the U.S. intelligence officials likely broke laws against spying and election interference. Former CIA Director Gina Haspel blocked the release of a binder that included evidence that may have identified her role in the Trump-Russia collusion hoax. This activity was illegal, both because U.S. law prohibits such intelligence gathering unless authorized by a Foreign Intelligence Surveillance Act, that's FISA warrant, and because the weaponization of the intelligence community for political purposes constitutes election interference. The first of the intelligence community's surveillance targets appeared to be a former Defense Intelligence Agency, that's DIA head, and would-be Trump National Security Advisor Michael Flynn. Another target was staffer George Papadopoulos. In 2018, HPSCI, the House Permanent Select Committee on Intelligence, released a 243-page report clearing Trump of allegations that he and his team colluded with Russia to interfere with the 2016 election. However, sources close to the House Permanent Select Committee, led by Adam Schiff, covertly continued working out of a small room in Langley, and he had access to raw logs and communications from agencies like the CIA and the National Security Council. You're probably wondering, how did the CIA respond to this? Well, former CIA Director John Brennan under Barack Obama did not respond, nor did the Justice Department. The US FBI and UK's equivalent to the NSA, that's the GCHQ, however, responded that wiretapping the president-elect claims were nonsense, they were utterly ridiculous, and should be ignored. What's most interesting about that is Taibbi and Schellenberger didn't even ask about wiretapping. The FBI and GCHQ just included it in their response. Even more interesting is, how did the mainstream media report it? The mainstream narrative was that the UK government
Because, you know, that's the innocence of the FBI. Like, well, we didn't wiretap. Well, we didn't ask you about wiretapping. Like, you just blurted it out in the open. Yeah, I think that kind of exposes yourself. The same way that this schmuck at the CIA just exposed himself to a rando woman that he thought he was going to get laid from. Like, jeez. Wow. That's hilarious.
HQ, again, that's the United Kingdom's NSA equivalent, was the whistleblower in the investigation into the alleged ties between Trump and the Russian government, and other narratives that have all turned out to be false. As it turns out, not only was Taibbi and Schellenberger's reporting accurate, we can now provide proof on camera, thanks to one of our OMG undercover American swiper citizen investigative journalists. Using the dating app Bumble and hidden cameras, our OMG journalists set up a series of meetings and phone calls with Amjad Fasisi, a CIA contractor with top-level government security clearances. Now, as it turns out, the corruption at the CIA, FBI, and Department of Justice is probably even worse than you thought, and now you can see it with your own eyes.
So, I'm not going to show all of this because it's like a 30-minute long clip, but you saw the highlights earlier. This is just James O'Keefe explaining in detail. So, again, this is what's so fascinating about his style of reporting. This is why I adore James O'Keefe. I've been following for a long while. I know that beforehand he was kind of going against, you know, just school kid, like kind of, you know, manipulating that way. It was more like conservative, right-wing, just pundency. But now he's actually exposing the higher-ups, which is fantastic. And the fact that he's able to do this undercover, posing as a Bumble date, I think that's hilarious. And it shows a lot. It shows how screwed up and how our system is interfering with our democracy in America. In America, the system that they hold themselves up to is actually ruining democracy. Not January 6th, not a bunch of randos on the street, not Trumpers or MAGA or Russians or China or any of these. It turns out it's ourselves and Israel. We're, you know, the United States is screwing over themselves. Just absolutely hilarious in that factor. So then it goes on. He found this out after the video got released. So James O'Keefe comments saying, CIA comment, the official appears to have been terminated as a result of our reporting today. So the guy that exposed that there was a ploy to go after Donald Trump and wiretap him and withhold information to, again, blackmail people to silence him out during the election, he was fired. Because apparently it was a no-no to say that randomly to a Bumble date. When the CIA was asked for comment, O'Keefe Media received an exclusive statement on record from a CIA spokesperson today. They said the claims about the CIA are absolutely false and ridiculous. The CIA is resultantly apolitical institution, yes, that provides intelligence support to policymakers, including the President of the United States, irrespective of who occupies the office. We are a foreign intelligence focused agency, and we do not monitor the former president. The individual who makes these allegations is a former contractor who does not represent the CIA. In the video, which was taken last week, the CIA official waves his intelligence community green badge. Green badges were specifically hired for those contracted by the agency. Kash Patel, former deputy director of the National Intelligence, said an official processing a contractor green badge is only allowed to lawfully processes it while official employed as a contractor to the intelligence community. Upon any termination, credentials are returned to the home agency and destroyed immediately. So that's the cover-up that they're trying to say, that he doesn't represent us. We just deal with foreign affairs. We're not involved with, internal struggles. We're not doing domestic stuff to people. Blah, blah, blah. Even though that is all false, we have seen hundreds of reports documenting the intelligence services like the CIA, the FBI, and the NSA colluding with other government agencies and other corporations to undermine the processes of Americans. We have seen this numerous times over and over and over again, as well as corruption with foreign affairs. We have seen this throughout history. So them to say that is just absolutely absurd, and they're just trying to cover their asses on the fact that a journalist was able to uncover all this on X, was able just to post this on social media and do way more better journalism than any mainstream journalist could ever do. So then, after all this, he goes and calls the press secretary of the CIA to find out why she released that statement saying that this man that was the program manager or the project manager at the CIA was able to have the credentials of being a CIA agent, but then you just disclose that he doesn't represent the CIA. So what exactly are you saying here? How does he able to have these badges and pose himself as a project manager, which seems to be a very important role at the intelligence services? Why are you saying that why are you discrediting that? What are you trying to cover up here? He says, on the phone with the CIA press secretary, spokesperson at the CIA gives me a statement saying that the program manager at the Chinese Mission Center, Conte, talking about the higher-ups withholding information from the president, is no longer working at the CIA. Listen to this.
Hi, James. I'm glad to meet you like this. I'm Chelsea Robinson. I'm the press secretary, and the Director of OPA, Tammy Thorpe, will also be engaging on this. We are preparing. We have a statement that we would like to provide. We will be sharing it verbally as well as in written format. We are to be impression based on your email response that we had until 5 o'clock. If that's moving,
Yes.
we will make that work.
Yes, ma'am.
Chelsea from the CIA calling back.
Hey Chelsea, you got me and James here.
Hi, James. Is it an okay time to call you back?
Yes.
Okay. I just wanted to read you this statement, and then I'm going to hit send on it to you. And it'll probably just take a minute to populate in your inbox here. But,
You're going to be sending it to my email, correct?
Yes, I'll be responding all to your email. And so you can attribute it to a CIA spokesperson, and it'll say, these claims about CIA are absolutely false and ridiculous. CIA is a resolutely apolitical institution that provides objective intelligence support to policymakers, including the President of the United States, irrespective of who occupies his office. We're a foreign intelligence-focused agency and do not monitor the former president. The individual making these allegations is a former contractor who does not represent CIA.
But the interesting factor of this, because they say that they're a foreign agency, like they only monitor foreign affairs. Well, if you fabricate a story to say that the president-elect of 2016 was colluding with the Russians to get himself elected, would that give you the clearance then to spy and wiretap? So again, it shows how the Russiagate scandal that still to this day is populating all over mainstream media is still a goddamn hoax. It's a proven manufactured discretion used by the Clinton campaign, used by federal agencies to collude themselves to keep Donald Trump out of the election. Because Donald Trump, the repugnant game show host that they used to adore as a celebrity, is a wild card. He's a wild card when it comes to politics. Yes, he sides with the establishment most of the time. Yes, he came out with the vaccine rollout. He was mandating for them. He was in control of them. Yes, he sided with the intelligence agencies when it comes to foreign affairs. There's a lot to critique about him. And he gave a tax break to the 1%, giving the higher up Richie Rich a tax break while the middle class continues to desecrate in America. But he does reveal a lot of things. Again, he is like the cold sore on the disgusted, infected face of the establishment. He is able to reveal so much. And even with Joe Biden as president, believe it or not, because people are witnessing that this demented circus clown cannot be able to control the country. Not even Kamala Harris can save him. So there's definitely a force greater than the presidency and the vice presidency that is manipulating, controlling, and obfuscating this entire orchestration. And we're getting this revealed by independent journalists like James O'Keefe and other investigative journalists like that lady who posed as a Bumble date, revealing all this. And now they're getting caught. Now they're calling up the press secretary, and the press secretary has to lie out of her ass and cover up the story by using legal terms to say that, oh, this guy doesn't represent us, and even though he has the credentials, he's not actually part of us. It's funny in a way. The lady on the phone actually sounds similar to Chrystia Freeland here in Canada. I noticed that. It's the same kind of tone, mannerisms, that nasal kind of voice. Kind of funny. So, you know who also caught on to this story and wants to comment on this? The president himself. Former President Trump dares to comment on this. So, he says President Trump reacts to bombshell according to a program manager. Is he a program manager or project manager? I'm not sure either. Recording of program manager at CIA describing how higher-ups at Langley withhold information from him. So here's what Trump even had to say about this.
Mr. President, your reaction to this videotape of the CIA individual talking about how the CIA directors withheld information from you.
Well, it's shocking to see how stupid somebody can be. If this guy's for real, you ought to get rid of him. CIA, Central Intelligence Agency. This is not an intelligent guy to be openly talking to a woman that walks up and starts asking him questions and talking that way. So he may be bragging or showing off to some young lady. I have no idea the conditions under which he spoke, but I'd get rid of him real fast. If he's for real, get rid of him.
Mr.
I'm sorry. I love the kind of the highlight of intelligence he said there, like CIA, Central Intelligence Agency. The way he put so much emphasis on intelligence is it's so perfect. And I have to agree with that. If you're part of this secret agency that has classified information, so classified that none of the general public is allowed to know about this, even though the general public pays for the CIA, pays for all these government agencies to monitor, track, surveil, oppress them constantly. We're not allowed to know this information. But apparently, all it takes is for you to go on a Bumble date, go on a pity date at a restaurant where it's surrounded by other customers, and he just reveals all. So I don't think he's very intelligent to be in the intelligence agency. It's not exactly a smart move. Let's just say that. It's not exactly a smart move. And I don't know, like, when you see these videos, and I love how O'Keefe Media keeps, shining with these bombshell revelation videos that's just posing as a date. I don't know what these people, like, are they just so, sad and horny all the time that they just need to blurt this out in the hopes that, I'm going to rile you up? This is going to win your date over? Like, oh, yeah, I'm responsible for withholding information and ruining democracy. Yeah. Oh, God. That's beautiful. That is beautiful. So there you have it, folks. And that's just a tiny tip of the iceberg on just how disgusting, deplorable these federal agencies really are. Just not only in the case of Trump and the election process, but think how much intervention, how much they have interfered on everyday situations and scenarios regarding America. Like, it baffles you. Like, you can't even hold a candle to how much insane corruption, deep, dark, insidious stuff that the intelligence agencies are capable of doing of. And they try to manipulate us by saying they're communities, they're looking after your safety, we're protecting national security. They don't give a rat's ass about security. Your security is constantly jeopardized. And that's how they operate. They operate off of blackmail and jeopardizing your security, because if you were secure and happy and well off and actually live in a healthy democracy, then there's no need for them. There would be no need for them. There would be no need for all these agencies. So they have to keep you paranoid, freaked out, angered, frustrated, and yelling at your friends and families and neighbors that somehow half of America is your mortal enemy, and not the people that are actually interfering behind closed doors at the helms of the wheel, greasing and destroying the whole notion of America. These are insanely, wildly mastermind criminals. These are people that need to be locked away for the heinous acts that they have committed in American life and international courts. Because we could spend all day talking about the CIA's interference in all the nations around the world. Because all they have is blackmail. All they have is manipulation. All they have is to paranoid you, freak you out, making you subvert yourself to the intelligence agencies, thinking that they're somehow supporting you, that they're protecting you from foreign interference, even though they're the ones creating this interference. They're the ones creating the terror. They're the ones responsible for the worst of the worst. And you become a slave to them. You become basically a lab rat to this group, to the intelligence services like the CIA, the NSA, the FBI, Homeland Security, ICE, like all these agencies. And that alone just reveals a lot. It reveals a lot about how fake and phony, like, the American democracy is a joke. The American democracy, the democratic process, the whole election cycle is a joke. It is a goddamn joke. You really don't have a choice. You really do not have options. The democracy is basically a front for a corporate, fascist, dictatorship, totalitarian regime that has constantly been played out for decades. And all it's doing is upholding that evil to the highest power without actually undermining or criticizing or going against said evil. And of course, This is still continuing on in 2024 because, like I said, more than likely it's going to be Trump v. Biden, and they need to keep that demented circus freak in office as much as possible to keep that oligarch intact, because the empire is collapsing. People are witnessing it. They're noticing it. They're critiquing on it, and they're fighting against that empire that screwed them for many decades. It's no longer just about Trump. It's about everybody involved in this insanity of the intelligence services. Again, I love the emphasis on intelligence. That was perfect.